Folks, Aaron Dorr here with the Missouri Firearms Coalition. Guys, there's been so much happening for the last 10, 12, 14 days that all we've had time to do is federal updates to our members as the fight for gun control is spiraling out of control right now in Washington, D.C. And there's a lot going on. We're going to talk about that. But we're also going to talk today for a while, have a little more time today. We're going to have a little more of a conversation about the Republicans here in Missouri and how they are reacting on this threat of gun control. Guys, if you can hear me okay, let me know. Tell me where you're watching from in the comment section. Sound off. Want to know where you guys are at as you watch today's broadcast. But there's just so much going on in DC. The question for today's video is more about what is happening right here. What are the Republicans here in Missouri doing about this? I'm just going to be honest. This is not going to be a pleasant video. I mean, this is not going to be there's not going to be any good news in today's video, but you guys have to hear what's going on. I see John getting checked in right now. I see two Johns, John from Independence. I see Ryan in Hillsboro. I see Jerry in Salem. Ray says loud and clear from Missouri. David's in Independence. Guys, keep commenting in the comments section. And I think we have more time to answer questions. If you guys have questions, post those as well, and we'll break into those. So, again, we have this massive push for gun control right now in D.C. Massive. And you have Republicans in various states crumbling right now under the pressure. You've got Republican like Adam Kinzinger, congressman from neighboring Illinois, backing a full-on assault weapons ban, he says. You have Republicans in New York backing an assault weapons ban. Congressman Chris Jacobs, he actually just announced he was not going to seek re-election because of the blowback he received from that. But so you kind of expect that, right? We kind of expect that in a place like Illinois, in a place like New York State, you're going to see Republicans just trash, right? Just trash RINOs who are not going to hold the line. And so it's that much more incumbent upon Republicans here in places like Missouri, in red states, real red states, to stand up and hold the line. That's what we expect. This is Missouri. We don't want to see that kind of crap that we see from other Republicans in Illinois and New York. We want to see you guys fight back. And so what are we seeing in the last couple of days? What are we seeing? Because here's what's on tap for next week in Washington, D.C. Next week, Congress resumes session at 6:30 p.m. on Tuesday, and they gavel out of session at around 4 p.m. or 3 p.m. on Thursday. So we have this narrow window of time, and in that time, we're going to see a vote in the House on red flag gun seizures. And we're likely going to see some sort of action as well on H.R. 7910, the massive omnibus gun control bill that passed out of the committee just last week, just 2 days ago. So this is coming at us 100 miles an hour. This is a great time for Republicans who have some cojones, right, to stand up there and say, no, I'm not backing this crap. In fact, I'm going to actively fight against it. But that's not what we're seeing. That's not what we're seeing. We're going to talk about Roy Blunt for a few minutes, but don't just tune off when I say Roy Blunt. I know the guy is retiring. I'm well aware of that. We'll break that down here in a moment. But we're going to talk about Roy Blunt, but also some of the state level RINO trash that we're having to deal with right now here in Missouri and where they stand. So first, we're going to discuss Roy Blunt. So we all know Roy Blunt is hardcore RINO. We all know Roy has screwed us as many times as we can think of when it comes to a whole host of conservative agenda items. It's not just on guns. But now, for the first time, Roy Blunt is publicly, openly saying he is okay with red flag gun seizures. I'm going to share my screen here. You guys can see it for yourself. Give me just a couple of seconds here to make this pop up. Here's the quote. Here is the quote. All right, I'm going to share my screen, guys. Check it out for yourself. You can see it in real time. Okay. And that's not zooming in very much, is it? Let me try to zoom my screen in for you. There we go. Here we go. Now let's scroll down. Oh, hold on, folks. We'll get this figured out. We're almost there. All right, Roy Blunt right here. Okay. Roy Blunt's statement, same old thing about no family should have to suffer after a tragedy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I am open to looking at what we can do in a bipartisan way to prevent another tragedy like this from occurring. That may include the possibility of a red flag law to keep weapons out of the hands of people who pose an imminent threat to themselves or others. Folks, it is right here. This is his official statement. Roy Blunt publicly supporting some form of, or willing to support some form of red flag gun seizures. Guys, this is all over the news right now, breaking over the last couple of days. Roy Blunt publicly saying, I will support a red flag gun seizure law. Now, here's the thing. When Republicans like Roy Blunt stand there and say, from Missouri, no less, can stand up in Congress and say, yeah, I'll back a red flag gun seizure bill. That makes it that much easier for Chuck Schumer to get other Republicans in other Republican states to do the exact same thing. So this is a real problem. We are well aware about where Roy Blunt is. The guy is checking out of reality. Here's his photograph. You can see the guy he looks like a nut job anyway. The guy is not going to be around any longer. I realize that. But here is the thing. This is Missouri, right? We're used to these political dynasty style families. And I want to make you aware of this. Roy Blunt's entire family are lobbyists in Washington, D.C. His spouse, his children, his children's spouses. This is an entire family of low-life scumbag lobbyists. And look, people like that never want to get too far from the feeding trough. And so if Roy Blunt comes out here and backs a red flag gun seizure bill, that's going to do real damage to any future runs from any future members of the Blunt family down the road. And so, guys, now my point here is there is still a reason to contact Roy Blunt and tell him, you better, by God, retract what you said and oppose red flag gun seizure laws. You might not run for office ever again. But if anybody else in your family, down to your great-great-grandkids, ever wants to run again, we will hold them responsible for what you're saying here. So, guys, you've got to contact Roy Blunt and tell him that. Tell him, back off of our gun rights, rescind what you said, and just know if you publicly support this stuff, if you vote for this, this will destroy your family's little legacy, little dynasty, whatever you want to call it, for a generation to come. Guys, his phone number, I've got it here somewhere handy. His phone number is 202-224-5721. I'm going to post that right now in the comments section. Myself, 224-5721. All right, guys, I'm going to post it right here. I'm going to label it Roy Blunt. Give this guy a call, talk to his staff, and say, if Blunt continues to back gun control, we're going to hammer him, and anybody else that comes from his family for the rest of human history is going to pay a price as well for Roy stabbing us in the back when we needed him the most. Because that's what's happening right now. There is a count going on right now in the Senate trying to figure out how much gun control Republicans can support. And you probably heard this in our emails over the last couple of days. But here's the math on this. And John McClellan asks a great question. Doesn't SEPA protect us against this? John, I'm going to answer that in a little bit. It's a great question. We're getting a lot of that, and we're going to break that down here in just a little bit. But again, where we are right now, the math in D.C. is that Pelosi can pass most whatever she wants right now. They have a big majority there, and it only requires a simple majority in that chamber. Guys, again, sound off. Tell us where you're watching from in the comment section. Love seeing your comments pop up on the screen there. Let me know where you're watching from. And so they need a simple majority in the House, but in the Senate, Chuck Schumer needs 60 votes, not 51, to pass anything controversial. 60. He has 50. He has 50 Democrats right now. He needs 60 votes to pass gun control. So he's got his 50. And the question then is, how does he get 10? Well, right now in D.C., there are bipartisan negotiations, don't you love that phrase, underway in the Senate on gun control. 5 Republicans are a part of that right now. Susan Collins, from Maine. You've got Tom Tillis, North Carolina, Lindsey Graham, South Carolina, John Cornyn from Texas, Mitt Romney from Utah. If all 5 of them sign off on this, well, all of a sudden, Biden's got his 55, right? 50, I'm sorry, not Biden. Well, yeah, Biden too. Schumer has 55. And so they need 5 more. And if they've got retiring Republicans like Roy Blunt out there saying, yeah, it's okay, I'll back a red flag gun seizure bill. Well, folks, they're getting damn close to 60 votes. That's why this matters so much right now. We are closer than what many people think to seeing a Republican-backed red flag gun seizure bill move right now in the United States Senate. And so please contact him right away. That's Roy Blunt. But what about other Republicans here in the state of Missouri? How about this drunken little fool, Lincoln Huff? Everybody from Springfield knows who I'm talking about. This is Lincoln Huff, Senator Lincoln Huff. He looks half lit in that photograph. Folks, let me give you a little secret. That's because he's probably half lit. That's Lincoln Huff. Now, Lincoln Huff is one of the, up and coming leadership, endorsed pretty boys in the state capitol. Lincoln Huff, as you guys probably remember, voted against our Stand Your Ground law legislation earlier this year in committee. He joined the Democrats to vote for, to vote to kill Stand Your Ground expansion legislation. And now in the last couple of days, he's out all over the news talking about his response, or what he thinks the response should be to the shootings in Uvalde, Texas, and Buffalo, New York. Had a recent forum in Springfield, and they asked him all about the end of session and all the things that happened. They asked him about guns. Now, well, I'm just going to read it. I'm just going to read it first of all. Let me share my screen, and let me zoom in earlier this time so we can do that now instead of later. There we go. Zoom in. You guys, when you read this, it's gonna make your blood boil. So it is what it is. Let me share my screen again, and you guys can read it for yourself as I read it out loud for those that can't see it if you're watching your mobile. Okay, Lincoln Huff, right here. It is borderline appalling to me that some folks think the actionable answer is just to have more guns, Huff said. I can't fathom that the answer is to arm the cafeteria lady, and that's going to fix the situation. I can't imagine the janitor needs to go and do a solid week of training on an active shooter environment. So let me just stop here for a minute. There's more to come. Let me stop here for a few minutes, and let's break this down. Everybody watching right now, I think, let me know if you disagree. Everybody watching right now knows that gun-free zones are the reason why bloodthirsty killers go to schools and murder our children. They're demented. They're evil people. They're cowards. They want to kill children. So obviously they're all of the above. And so they figure out, where the heck can I go as a coward to kill people? Well, gun-free zones, right? That's the obvious issue. That's the obvious target. That's the obvious place these pieces of trash always go, because they know in these gun-free zones, nobody can fight back. Teachers can't carry. Janitors, to use Lincoln Huff's phrase here, can't carry. Nobody can carry. So at the federal level, we all know what's going on here. The 1990, I think it was 4 Gun-Free School Zones Act is what is letting these mass murdering psychopaths go into our schools and kill our children. We all know this. And so we know the action federally needs to be, one of the actions needs to be repealing deadly gun-free zones. Do you guys agree? I mean, that's the issue here, is repealing deadly gun-free zones and giving it a chance for everybody who's legally allowed to own guns to defend themselves. We all know this. But this arrogant ass, where's this photograph? This arrogant ass sits here and smugly, arrogantly, condescendingly says, it's appalling to me that people think the answer is just to have more guns. Well, if you were a parent in Uvalde, Texas, wouldn't you wish those teachers had a gun? Wouldn't you like to see the janitor come out from behind the broom closet with a Glock 17 and put 17 rounds into that madman's chest? But no, Lincoln Huff says, it's appalling to me that Missourians think the answer is just to have more guns. That's because Lincoln Huff is a disgrace, a drunken fool. And folks, this guy is only a Republican because you cannot run for office in his district and do so as a Democrat. He is helping the Democrats with every single part of their agenda in Jeff City. He's been doing it for a long time, folks, for a long time. And now he sits there and just says, I can't imagine that the answer is to have more guns. I mean, look at his face. I mean, I don't know, but my guess is the guy hasn't handled more than a squirt gun in his entire adult life. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I should have Googled. I don't know. But I can tell you what, that is the face of a coward. Look at his face again one more time, I swear. That is the face of a coward. That is the face of the kind of person who would hide behind children in a school. He would not go to confront a shooter. He would hide behind your children. He'd let our kids serve as bullet sponges while he cowered in fear and pissed his pants. That's Lincoln Huff. And so the only reaction he can have is, oh, this is appalling. This is appalling. Folks, I just want to be clear. This is part of our Republican Senate leadership delegation here in Jeff City. Terrible, terrible stuff. Let me keep reading here for a minute. Let me share my screen again before I do that. Hang on one second, guys. You can see it for yourself again. There we go. As firearm policy once again comes under the microscope, Missouri has to defend its 2021 SEPA law that seeks to nullify certain federal statutes and fine police who enforce them. Known as SEPA, has received strong resistance from members of law enforcement and now is party to 2 lawsuits. That's very much the case. Go down to the bottom paragraph here. Asked by the news leader, my mouse is not moving fast enough, guys, to highlight this. Give it just a moment here. No, we're done. It's not working here. Asked by the news leader if he would revisit the law next session, Huff said he'll defer to law enforcement's perspective on the issue and that he had not been filing the lawsuits over the this last year. So, here's a chance where the guy could have said, overturn SEPA? No, hell no. Give Joe Biden the ability to order our cops to enforce federal gun control? Oh, no, hell no. No. But instead, when the press says, are you guys going to repeal SEPA next year? All Lincoln Huff can say is, well, we'll wait and see what law enforcement says about that. Folks, we know what professional law enforcement says about that. And I wanted to define what I mean by that. By professional law enforcement, I mean the lobbyist class that fills our state capitol every time we're in the building in committee trying to advance your gun rights. It's the it's the chiefs of police. It's a sad number of sheriffs like Sheriff Arnott from Springfield. And it's a whole bunch of other anti-gun lobbyists that conspire together. And they have lobbied against every single expansion of gun rights here in Missouri for years and years and years. But Lincoln Huff and cowards like him just say, well, we're just gonna defer to law enforcement. Folks, if we defer to professional lobbyists that work in law enforcement, if we deferred to them, we never would have passed constitutional carry in 2016. We never would have passed stand your ground law. We never would have passed lifetime carry permits. Never would have passed Castle Doctrine expansion. And we never would have passed last year's SEPA legislation either. Lincoln Huff knows this, of course. And so his whole idea here is to cower in fear and say, oh, no, we're just going to do what law enforcement says. If we adopt that approach, folks, these people will repeal SEPA legislation next year. That is their absolute goal. That is their goal. So, no, Lincoln Huff would never stand up and say, the problem here is criminals. The problem here is demented people. The problem here is that we force feed our children a diet of hatred for their country, for their founding fathers, for the Second Amendment in schools for 18 years, and we top them off with a whole host of Second Amendment drugs, and then we're surprised when they go and do horrific things. Now, he'll never say that. He's only blaming us. Yeah, he's too much of a chicken shit to do it publicly, to do it directly, so he's not blaming gun owners. But listen to that quote. It's appalling to me that folks think that the actionable answer is just to have more guns. That is exactly what is needed in gun-free school zones. Let's be clear on this. Nobody is saying that teachers are going to be issued a ID badge and a key to their classroom and a Glock 9 when they sign their employment papers. But what we are saying is that for the legions of teachers who do want to carry, for the janitors who do want to carry, for the groundsmen who do want to carry, for the parents who do want to carry when they're on that property, those are the people that we want to have armed. Those are the people who will defend our children. Those are the people who are on site, on premises. They don't have to respond. They don't have to show up. They don't have to hide in the parking lot until they have 40 cops, wait for 8 minutes, and then come inside when all the kids are dead. No, they're already there. They're already there. And I don't know about you, but if I was a student, I would want the janitor, I would want my teacher, I would want the cafeteria lady to have the option to defend me. And Lincoln Huff here is mocking every Missourian who knows that gun-free zones are the problem. Guys, the guy is just complete trash. Again, one more time in his photograph here. This is the face of an absolute chicken coward. He's the guy who would hide behind your children if he was in a school situation like that. He would never risk his own safety. He can't even fathom the idea of sacrificing or risking his own safety to defend somebody else. That's why the idea of arming people on school property, he can't handle it. Absolutely can't handle it. And I want to be clear here. We're not just talking about this federal response. This pathetic, limp noodle approach from Lincoln Huff is endemic amongst the entire Senate Republican leadership team in Jefferson City right now. Dave Schatz, same way. Caleb Browden, same way. And and there's more of them. There's a lot more of them. And these are the people who are running this chamber, and they are determined, if we give them any space at all, to roll back SEPA and roll back other bills that you and I have passed here in Missouri. Let's see. David Lighty says, can we get Huff's number also so we can tell how much of a craphead he is? You know, David, you read my mind. Give me a moment here. I was just looking up on my phone. I should have written this down. If you guys want to call him, give him a call. Absolutely. Let me see here. He's not popping. Oh, hold on. He has a special nickname in my caller ID, so it doesn't say Senator Huff. It says something that I can't say on this broadcast. That's why I couldn't find his number. Here it is. 417-848-7902. That is Lincoln Huff. If you want to give him a call, do it. 417-848-7902. Give him a shout. And somebody is asking me also, they're saying, where's this comment? They said, what is up? Where's this comment? Somebody is asking, what about Caleb Browden? Everyone knows the rodent. Dear heavens, I did not get his photograph. Do you guys want to see a photograph of Caleb Browden? Many of you watching right now already know what this guy looks like. But I mean, anytime I see somebody who spikes his hair like a wannabe punk rocker, it just makes me think, you know what? This guy is about as dumb as they come. Let me get this photograph. Oh, I got one. Oh, I got a good one. Hang on, guys. Let me add this into my feed right now, and you guys can see it. I mean, these are the children. These are the idiots that run our state Senate right now. It's absolutely absurd. I'm importing the photograph right now. Here we go. Here we go. This is the illustrious Senate Majority Floor Leader Caleb Browden. You're being led, we're all being led by fools and idiots. And Caleb Browden, folks, that is Caleb. This is the guy who calls the shots right now in the Senate. An embarrassment. Here's his comment. I'm just reading his Twitter feed here actually right now. Says, I have so many questions bouncing around my head after the Uvalde shooting. Where were the parents? Well, yeah, I would agree with that. How did he get a gun? Yeah, I'd agree with that too. Did he pass a background check? Yeah, he did. He bought the guns at a retail store too, by the way, Caleb. How did he get in the school? Well, because it's unlocked. It's a gun-free zone, and no one is there to stop him, Caleb. Very simple stuff, right? And he says, tonight I will not claim any sort of high ground or think that my words matter any more than they do. I know that I hurt in my heart for those impacted. Fair enough. That part's fair. We all hurt for those who were impacted by the shooting. But then he says, where is it here? He says, my screen just locked up. Here we go. He says, I hope partisan politics isn't the thing that stands in the way of a solution. And I also hope that partisan politics isn't the reason we can't be honest about the complexity and deep-rooted causes of atrocities like this one. Folks, I'm just going to break down what that means in everyday speech because that's obviously designed to be disarming and confusing. John Burke says he looks like an 80s child star. Yeah, exactly. When a Republican elected to office says, I hope that partisan politics isn't the thing that stands in the way of a solution, when he says that, in the days following a mass shooting, I'm going to decipher it all for you very simply. That means I support some form of gun control. That's what that means. When a Republican calls for bipartisan solutions in the wake of a school shooting with a monster in the White House like Joe Biden, with Pelosi and Schumer working overtime to pass a massive national package of gun control bills, and a Republican comes out and says, I hope that we don't have bipartisanship that blocks this. That is a very clear message. He supports a gun control agenda. It's just that simple. If you guys disagree with me, definitely sound off in the comment section. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I was wrong once. Never about Caleb Browden, though, and never about Lincoln Huff. But I was wrong once. Maybe I'm wrong here. But you guys let me know. I know for a fact that Caleb Browden is a coward. And I know for a fact that Lincoln Huff is a chicken shit. And I know for a fact that Dave Schatz only moved SEPA last year because MOFC members were beating on him politically. And he knew if he ever wanted to run for the U.S. Senate, he had to play ball. I know that for a fact. And folks, we are entering into a really dangerous time here in Missouri. Session is out, so nothing can happen right now. But we have incoming Speaker of the House, Dean Plocher, in the House. Now, everyone knows the last Speaker of the House was rock solid when it came to gun rights, 100%. And we know that that's why we moved SEPA so quickly, because Speaker Boscovo wasn't going to delay. The guy knew that with Biden in the White House, this had to happen fast. But he's gone now. And turned out he's done. He's gone. Jared Taylor, the best that we've ever seen in the House. 8 years. He's termed out. He's gone now. A whole bunch of other good guys termed out and are gone now. And we're going to see an entirely different state legislature next year here in Missouri. You're going to have a House that was way to the conservative right, very pro-gun as far as his leadership team goes, very pro-gun, very much willing to fight to advance gun rights. You're going to see it go from there to all the way back left of center. I mean, definitely left of center when it comes to Dean Plocher. You guys know what I'm talking about, Dean Plocher? Maybe, just maybe, I should have pulled a photograph of old Dean before I went live too. But you know what, folks? I can fix that as well. Give me 20 seconds here. And I'll show you guys who's going to run the chamber next year. And you guys can see it on his face. I mean, you can just see it and you look at him. This guy is a choke artist. I know a choke artist when I see him. And Dean Plocker is going to choke. Let me just pull this up here. I mean, it's not a function of me having to render a guess. I mean, Dean has been an enemy in committee on all kinds of gun bills over the years. An absolute enemy. Dean Plocker is the reason why this year's Senate ground law bill did not move from the floor eligibility calendar onto the floor for a vote, because Dean Plocker, as the current majority floor leader, blocked it. Here comes his photograph. That's Dean. That's Dean. Looks like he's, I don't know, racing to find a restroom or something. But this is Dean Plocker. He's going to be your incoming Speaker of the House next year. This is Caleb Browden. This is your Senate Majority Leader, your floor leader right now, right? This is his little ally, old drunken Lincoln Huff. And these are the people that are running our state capitol now. We're losing Jared Taylor. I forgot we're losing Eric Burleson. As you guys all know, Senator Burleson has been the single biggest supporter of gun rights, I think, in Missouri history. It was Eric Burleson who passed our constitutional carry bill in 2016. He passed stand your ground law in 2016. We worked together to pass everything: lifetime carry permits, Castle Doctrine expansion, and he was the lead sponsor on SAPA legislation in 2021. And of course, Eric is now in a congressional run in the 4th. And so we're losing the biggest heroes that we've had in the state capitol in a very long time, and we're replacing them with chumps like the guys I've shown you on the screen here for the last little while here. And so, folks, this is just kind of more of an informational video today. But if you're watching right now and you're not involved with this fight, you have got to join up today. You've got to join up today at joinmofc.com. I'm getting texts from some state reps here, guys. I'm trying to do 4 things at one time. I apologize. Joinmofc.com. Let me flash that on the screen here momentarily. There it is. Get involved in that fight right away as a member, because we've got big fights coming, and nobody else in the state capitol will call out Republicans like this. No one's going to do it. It's just not going to happen. It will not happen because they're too afraid to piss them off. We have no problem doing that. But guys, that's number one. Join this fight. Get involved in this fight today. We need your help today. But then also make sure, let me flash our other link here. Gosh, where is it? There's so many people texting me right now. I'm sorry, guys. StopRedFlags.com. This is our action alert. We have a red flag vote coming next week in the House. This is in D.C. now, jumping from D.C. away from the state legislature. So this is going to be in D.C. next week. It's StopRedFlags.com. This is HR 2377. This is the big Democrat push to pass red flags, but this is the bill. This is the idea. This is the bill that Roy Blunt is also in support of. And this is the problem that we have, folks. We have Republicans who are supporting this. We have Democrats who are supporting this. We have all kinds of folks who are supporting this, and that's why they have got to hear from you right now. Thankfully, for the moment, there is no immediate threat here in Missouri because, of course, we are out of session, and that's how things stand today. But the fight in D.C. is raging. I'll say one last thing, too. You know, with the primaries coming up, this is why the Missouri Firearms Coalition has worked so hard over the last month and a half now to survey all of the candidates running for office here in Missouri. Everyone knows what we did with our survey program in 2020. Everyone knows how we get the candidates on the record for or against our gun rights, and then we go, how should we say this, out of our way to make sure everybody knows where the candidates stand. And I want you guys to know the candidate survey window has just recently closed. That means the deadline has come and gone. And we are in the very near future going to give you guys information on a whole host of Republican Party primary candidates. We're going to have information for you guys on U.S. Senate races. the big Republican Party primary there. We're going to have information for you guys on a bunch of the congressional primaries, a lot of information coming there. And of course, a whole bunch of information on state legislative Republican Party primaries as well. It's going to be one heck of a jam-packed summer as we lead up to the August primary, which is going to be, August 2, I believe, is the primary. So we're 2 months away, but we're going to be flooding your inbox, your social media feeds, and everything else with hard-hitting, factual information on where these candidates stand when it comes to your gun rights. Because obviously, as I just showed you in this video here today, it's very obvious that being a Republican doesn't count for crap anymore, especially here in Missouri. Roy Blunt's a Republican. Caleb Browden's a Republican. Lincoln Drunken Huff is a Republican. Doesn't count for a whole lot. So we're going to give you guys the actual information you have to have so you can decide who wants to actually fight to defend your gun rights and who won't. We'll let you guys have the information here shortly. But for now, guys, again, this fight's raging. Get involved today. We're fighting every day to stop gun control in Washington, D.C. In fact, you're going to see us live in Washington, D.C. next week. I'll be up there with a bunch of our friends with the American Firearms Association with live updates from Capitol Hill on these votes as they take place. But we're also going to be right back in the trenches very shortly on the Republican Party primaries here in Missouri, guys. Join this fight. Get involved today. Join MOFC.com. Join MOFC.com. Mark says, you run for office. I'd vote for you. Mark, I think that my time is better spent, man, on the outside, putting pressure on politicians. I'm not sure that I'm cut out for elected office. So no, I think we're much better off. We need to have people on the outside that ride herd on these people. We have to have people on the outside to push back on their crap. That's our job here at the Missouri Firearms Coalition, and very much like that role. Let's see. Caleb says, to those who want to take anything from me, stack up and find out. I hear you, Caleb. I hear you. In the meantime, let's stop this stuff legislatively. I do believe, here's my prognosis. I believe that the big stuff in Washington, D.C. is not going to move right now. I believe that when it comes to an AR-15 ban, I think, but when it comes to red flag gun seizures, folks, which is also a huge one, that is not clear. There are way too many Republicans who are pushing that right now in Washington, D.C. to have any clarity on that. People are asking about the universal background checks, the National Gun Registry. That's on the line. That's on the line. There's a lot of Republicans who have backed that when we had Trump in the White House, but now that we have Biden in the White House, many of them are saying, no, we're not going to do that. But to be clear on that, that's only because right now it serves their interests to be pro-gun. So, folks, I believe we can win these fights right now. I believe we can win them if we keep the pressure on high, especially on our delegations here in Missouri, both in the House and Senate. That's why your link there above the video, stopredflags.com, is so important. That goes to your congressman. It goes to Blunt. It goes to Holly. And it tells them exactly what you expect them to do. So, guys, take a moment today. Fire off that email. And stay tuned for much more to come from us next week. Much more to come as well as we get into the primary season, which is rapidly upon us here in Missouri. And again, guys, join the fight for freedom today at joinmofc.com. Joinmofc.com. A lot of you guys are already members. I recognize half the names watching here right now. I know you guys are members. If you haven't renewed recently, renew today. If you're not a member, man, the fight's raging. We need you now. Get involved in this fight. Guys, more to come next week. Again, watch your email for more information. Watch social media for more information. Watch your direct mail box if you're a member for written updates that Facebook cannot censor. And guys, much more to come. Share our content and take care. Watch your families. Carry a gun